welcome along. The In Conversation today is with Dave Burton, QBH. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, Leo? Good to see you.
Yeah, and you. We've got a good chat today, haven't we? We've been
Yes.
chatting already a little bit about interest and boredom as a concept, and can we choose to be more interested in our work, particularly with sometimes those tasks that we don't enjoy so much. You know, you said yourself, typically compliance, things like that can be the sort of thing that not everyone finds the most exciting. You, of course, do.
I don't know about that. It's phenomenally interesting and exciting. But yeah, it does have a tendency to be maybe perceived by people as a little bit boring, a little bit dry.
But you guys make it exciting.
I'd like to think so, yes.
And you've had loads of comments about you make it exciting, you make it fun, you make it, you know, just that bit cooler than I think people assume. So how do you do that? I guess if we talk, how do you do that with QBH? But also so that we can look as a wider context of how can everyone do that in whatever their task may be that they really don't want to do, they're bored. How can they find the interest and therefore the motivation?
Cool. Well, first of all, I'm going to just reference that you said we make this cool. So that's going on all our marketing now. Leo says we make this up cool. I suppose because we talked about it, choosing to be interested by it. I had a particularly dry project to work on this morning, which is an internal audit schedule. So people that know about 9,000 and the other ISOs, you've got to audit your processes. But this client was very different. They're trying to refresh their systems and processes, and actually it was trying to come up with something a little bit different, a little bit unique, a little bit sexy, if I can use that expression. And actually I really found myself getting into it. I was sort of not dreading it, but I knew it was going to be a bit of a ball ache to get into it, and then once we got into it, the momentum then got going with it. And I'm sorry.
And was that because you chose the context that you said they wanted it to be something a little bit different, something a little bit more? Was that in essence, was that the brief to make it more cool?
Yeah, I presented a piece of work to them, and I got the I call it the glass eye, which is, I know we've got to do this, but I don't want it like this, which is fine, and that's how we like to work. So there's context to it. I won't bore you with the background too much, but it's a big client in town who work internationally, and they've got a big management system. It's been going for like 20 years, and it had kind of grown arms and legs, and I think it has sort of 700, 800 documents in it. Wow. And we've worked quite hard to get it down to sort of 2025, only because there's procedures and policies that have been building. So that project within itself is quite interesting, and it's relatively unique for what we do. It's that streamlining, and to me that's, you know, what's quite interesting about this. And that then it just reminded me. So I sat there going, I'm not sure I want to do this, or can I delegate it to Angie? And actually, then I sort of looked, like you occasionally get these moments of reflection. Go, well, hang on a minute. 3 years ago, I was even thinking about setting this up. I would have sort of bitten their arm off to have a project like this. And actually, when you start thinking about that, I started to get into it. Yeah. And we're looking at colour coding systems and hyperlinking back to this and using their IT system, and it just became very cool and exciting. And that then it made me think, well, you know, how else can you change your emotions and your feelings about things? Maybe. Yeah.
And so that moment, that reflection, completely shifted how it occurred to you, but also to them? Or was it more kind of for you in terms of that motivation that you needed to get that piece of work done?
I think the challenge, and we talked about it before, was the pressure, the fear of having quite a tight deadline to get it done. And I'd kind of procrastinated on it a little bit, and I picked it up and played around with it and had some concepts. Those concepts then had allowed me to finish the project. So we kind of, not boring isn't the right expression, but you look at it, you pick it up, you have an idea with this project and put it back down again and think, I really should be getting on with that, and eventually it comes together and you can create something quite cool.
I always think procrastinating on something kind of can be quite a use if we catch ourselves and don't beat ourselves up about it. Can be quite an interesting talk and go, there's something that's not quite working, and if you hadn't have had that bit of procrastination beforehand, you wouldn't have then come up against the, right, I've really got to do this, or kind of that moment to be able to reflect and go, right, this is what we're going to do different. Because the procrastination tells, for me anyway, my belief is that procrastination tells us something not quite right. Okay, I need to relook at this from a different angle. Doesn't mean I'm going to avoid it. You've got to make the conscious effort to keep looking at it from those different angles until you find the angle that fits, and then suddenly things happen, right?
Definitely, procrastination is a good thing, but when you're then sat on your PlayStation all day because you're trying to put yourself off doing I don't talk from experience. It's a friend of mine, looks a lot like me. It can be a bit debilitating, but sometimes there's a pressure. I think there's a perception that we should always be busy all of the time.
Yeah.
Laura and Barry Ash did a really good, Rock Solid did a really good vlog on it a couple of months ago, years ago, I'm not sure, time merges. But yeah, it can be motivating as well, and sometimes you've got to take that time out maybe to get things to align.
Yeah.
Which is difficult if you've got a tight deadline. Shit, I need to get it tomorrow.
And some of us like that tight deadline, and you know, we might not admit it, but we are sometimes, I believe, choosing, and I've spoken to people who've said, oh yeah, I like being under a bit of pressure. When we actually are honest with ourselves, we like that pressure, because that's maybe, if the work isn't interesting in and of itself, the, oh my God, I've got to get this done, makes it, will I get it done, puts a challenge in front of us, right? Which you mentioned about like problem solving, but problem solving against the clock, that's another challenge, right? That could potentially make something interesting.
A bit more interesting. It's something I've found myself doing more and more of, which sounds quite bad, but historically, throughout my times in a career, I refer to it as having a proper job, but when I was employed, I would always try and be as planned as possible, because I'd want to make sure, and even now, you know, I want to be planned and structured, so if there's a problem or emergency or whatever, there's time, you can budget that into the project. As we've got busier, and as clients have changed deadlines, we've changed deadlines, or whatever, for whatever reason, good or bad, out of nowhere you suddenly get quite a big deadline, and that could be quite exhilarating. You know, you pull the start, like the old all-nighters that you might have to do for college or university, or bid writing. Sometimes that can grow arms and legs when the client changes what they want to see. You know, and the questions that they're asking for, you know, people that deal with tenders and PQQs, you know what I'm talking about. But it can be quite exhilarating.
And I think if we embrace and kind of, I guess this goes back to what you said about choosing our state or how we choose to perceive something, recognizing that in some situations, well, you could say in all situations, we to a certain extent will choose how we approach something or how we engage with it. Like, right, I have to a certain extent procrastinated to give myself that extra bit of excitement, and then not to beat yourself up about the fact that you've got to, oh God, I've got to get going.
There's so much, isn't there, that we put on ourselves to try and achieve things we want to achieve. But yeah, it can be. We had a really good talk earlier. I was talking to somebody else about it last week, which is, you can choose. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can choose the emotions that you want to feel. So if you're feeling cross, you can feel happy. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to be positive. Choose to be stressed. You can choose to be cross. But actually, it's not that easy. Because I know when I'm cross about something, or tired, or frustrated, it's very difficult to go, actually, no, I'm really, really happy. But there's loads of books and stuff on it where it comes back to accepting how you feel. So I acknowledge I'm a bit tired and a bit grumpy. Things aren't quite going my way. And then you have a bit of a breather, and then you can choose. So you can do it. And I've started to try and do it with various degrees of success. But yeah, so it is something apparently you can do. Yeah,
even if it's a case of choosing, okay, I'm tired and grumpy, what's the action I can take? Go to sleep.
Lie
and
on
then
the
get up fresh.
And have another go.
Is there any tips or anything that you've learned that works for you? Go away and have a beer. Or a scotch. Step back. Not that I'm expert in any way, shape or form, God knows. But sometimes just being able to take a little bit of a step back from something, maybe take a breath. You don't always have that luxury. That can be quite helpful, and kind of sucking it up and powering through. That can be quite
a powerful strategy sometimes. It seems
Yeah.
to can work for me.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
roll your
that's-
sleeves up. That mentality,
Yeah.
that siege mentality.
Yeah.
We're gonna smash this. We're gonna
Yeah.
do it.
I
Roll
can
your
do
sleeves
this.
up.
This is hard, and
Let's just dig in.
That's
you
good.
know, But
because you can feel good at the end of it.
I don't like doing that so much anymore. I much prefer going and having a beer.
Yeah, being nice and chilled and
Yeah,
relaxed.
yeah, yeah.
That's the aim, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? To have a zen.
A zen-like calmness to compliance and HR
Exactly.
and videos and things.
Exactly. Dave, it's been a great chat.
Thank you.
Interest
Yes.
and motivation and boredom and the whole lot. We take it all on, don't we? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.